actually the growth of economic activity at that level, then in totality, when you are building everything together, then the economy will have performed. Yeah. But we also said there are other things that also facilitate, and one of the things that facilitates productivity is, for example, the way we are distributing the goods and services that we are producing.
I see.
When you see, for example, situations where supermarkets are not operating because they are there to do the distribution, then it means that you could be hindering the activities from the agriculture, Wanjiko and myself, who wants to bring in my cabbages. Yeah, what will they do? They will rot in my shamba and they will not be distributed.
Yeah.
So we looked at, we tried to ask ourselves, how is the trade system, even at the local market level, supporting growth of the other sectors, whether it is industrial or whether it's agriculture. So, so in that situation, the key thing that was coming out is that it's very good actually to ensure that when we talk about the services sector, we look at the quality of the services sector. Let us not say that there is transformation just because the services sector seems to be growing, yet the services sector, if you look at it, it's just the small kiosks that are being opened. Or if you go to the supermarkets and you look at the quality, the diversity of products that are being distributed, they don't necessarily focus you to show that even technologically we are actually moving. Right.
So how is this report quite significant in terms of shaping the country's economic policy?
As I've said, the economic report is driven by the government development agenda.
Right.
And what is the government development agenda? Is growth. What about growth? Not just inclusivity, but also strong and sustainable. But how can you sustain growth? You can only sustain strong growth if you can sustain the productivity. And productivity, in some situations, we are looking at it from the labor productivity, whether in manufacturing or even, as I've said, even at the county level. In manufacturing, what would one be looking at as far as productivity is concerned is to say, okay, you have employed 300 workers, but your output is only 3 million. Right? Can they do more? If you are going to give them more technology, if you are going to reduce the cost of power, if you are going to give them the appropriate technology, can they do more? Sometimes you see that they can move from the 3 million to about 6 million. And what does that mean? It's a productivity that is being enhanced. So you look at it and tell yourself, when a worker is not very productive, then also the wages will also come low. And what does that mean to decent jobs and even removing you from poverty? They are all connected. When you have micro and small enterprises that are actually dominate the manufacturing sector, but you look at, if you find that the only thing they do is poor work. Poor work means that, yes, I'm earning maybe 5,000 shillings. Can 5,000 shillings help me to meet my basic needs? Maybe it is not able to help me meet my basic needs. But why is it that I've been doing this, say for example in Muthurwa, and I'm doing those, you know those karais, yeah? Why is it that I'm not able to produce 100 karais in a day? Why do I have to produce 10 only? It's because of technology. Is there a manufacturing facility that would help me? I don't have to bend that mabati to make the karai, but there is a machine that has already been provided that can help me actually to carve it within 2 minutes. Well, I have my. That is what productivity is all about.
Daktari, when you look at the economic growth that we are in, Kenya is still reeling from the effects of COVID-19. We cannot say that we are fully out of it. And, you know, this is a new government, 2 years in. We've had, you know, Gen Z issues here and there. The Finance Act was put on hold. What is your general assessment of the Kenya's economy? From there, are we having some baby steps or there's some stagnation? What are the indicators?
I think it's good to go to statistics.
Right.
And statistics coming from the Kenya National Bureau of Statistics, because that is where officially we get our data. And those statistics have shown us, because these are the latest, in the first quarter, that is April to June of this year, the economy grew by 4.6%.
4.6?
Yes.
Okay.
Of course, if you look at it in 2023, the same period, it was growing by 5.6%. Of course, just a slight decline as far as the growth is concerned. But what have we seen is the key drivers, The key drivers of our economy is actually agriculture. The time or when you find agricultural output is growing, is strong, then also the GDP growth tends to be high.
Yes.
The period, for example, 2021, 2022, when agricultural sector contracted because of the drought situation, you look at it, the GDP growth also weakened, right? But in some situations, it's also what we can call seasonality elements. What is happening in that context? April, June is also a period where we have, is it our short rains period? Short rains period. Yeah. So in agriculture having grown by about 4.8%, it's a good thing because what it helps to do is to sustain our economic growth. Yeah.
Okay, and the cost of living, has it improved?
It depends on what do you use for measuring cost of living. And we can measure it with the level of inflation.
Yes.
And from the statistics, again from Kenya National Bureau of Statistics, by September, we had gone down to 3.6% as far as the inflation is concerned.
Okay.
This coming down from 4.3 in July to about 3.6%. If we go by that, it means that we have eased. It has eased in terms of the real value of the basket of goods that you buy from the market. Yes.
You've talked about productivity, and Kenya mostly we depend on agriculture to sustain ourselves. But what are some of the trends that you've noticed that is actually putting some of the key pointers in the economic growth, leave alone agriculture? Yes.
In terms of sources of growth?
Yes.
As I've said, Kenya actually relies heavily on agriculture, right? But do we want to get out of agriculture and see other sectors growing? Yes, we do. And one of the things that you find in the bottom-up economic transformation agenda is the aspect of strengthening agriculture. We are not going to go anywhere. We have to actually strengthen.
That is our backbone.
It's our backbone.
Yeah.
And what have they done is to identify various value chains and try to support them. Whether you're talking about leather value chain, so you ensure that the cow is protected even from the very beginning, so that the quality of the leather that you get from it can actually sustain itself in the value chain. When it goes to the production process, again, you can actually see yourself not just going to the first and second level of processing, but you can actually go to the high level, high quality level of processing. But also, I don't know whether you have a belt, which is also a leather belt. Where did you buy it from?
From Masai.
But that is also part of the value chain. So what the government is trying to do is to ensure that to support agricultural sector is to say support it by ensuring that the value chain itself, it's working, because what does that mean? I as a farmer, you can actually grow my demand for my products because you are processing and because people are consuming from the internal. So in that way, you are not just growing agriculture, you are growing also manufacturing.
Yes.
Because you want value addition. So as you emphasize on let's have the belts being produced locally, let's have the final product of leather being produced locally, what you are trying to say is that we want to inject as much energy to the industry to actually grow.
I get you.
Yeah.
There is that
to diversify.
Issue, exactly. There's that issue of building resilience and sustainable economic development in Kenya. When you want to build resilience, how do you pump that into the minds of the productive kind of age gap? Which I'll also ask you, the most active age group. Do we have that survey? If it's there, what's the number? But how do you build resilience and sustainable economic development in the country?
First of all, you ask yourself, what are the salient shocks that actually happen to an economy? One of them is weather, right? Anytime there is a weather shock, what happens? Our agriculture goes kaput, right? Whether it's livestock, whether it's in the crop, yeah? So how do you then build resilience? You build resilience by one of the things that the government is trying to do is to say, can we do move away from rain-fed to non-rain-fed agriculture? Can we have some level of irrigation? Because that way, with irrigation, it means that you don't have to depend on the weather patterns. Yeah. You can grow your crops at any time. Yeah, climate-smart agriculture is the emphasis that is going on. So that builds resilience to agriculture. When it comes to say industrial sector, yeah. I know we have done quite a lot in our energy production, enhancing the quality in terms of electricity, even transmission. But that is how you build resilience also. You build it by saying that you are not going to disrupt. Yeah. You are not going to have things that disrupt the processing process, right? You are not going to have a situation where the manufacturers are not waking up, today I bought these raw materials at 20 shillings, tomorrow I'm buying it at 30 shillings. So maintaining macroeconomic stability becomes very core in building resilience of the economy.
Doctor, this year's economic report, the theme was enhancing productivity for sustained inclusive growth.
Yes.
What formed that theme? It sounds positive. Yes, even to the Kenyan, enhancing productivity for sustained inclusive growth. What formed this theme?
It's coming from different angles. Yeah? Yes. First of all, if you look at the statistics in KNBS reports, it says that over 80% of our workers, of the work is from the informal sector. If you look at the characteristics of informal sector, is that you have these micro and small enterprises, right? And if you look at them, it is where the youth are also going into. Yes. Some of our youth don't want to be employed. They want to employ themselves. But when they get employed, they don't seem to be getting from the trap of having decency in the work that they're doing, yeah? Because the returns that they are getting is very small, yeah? If you look at even the MSME's report of 2016, you'll find that the majority of those who are called micro and small enterprises, they are either singly farms and they're earning very low. They're earning very low. And that is what we call the productivity. And that's where the productivity element comes in. So when we say that we want to have a bottom-up economic transformation agenda, you're asking, how then would you make this informal sector, that is where majority are in, how can you make them have decent jobs? And one way from the microeconomic element is to enhance productivity. But how do you, the question now that we're asking is, how do you enhance economic productivity? Because that is the only way you can bring now inclusivity, that everyone is actually getting out of the poor jobs to decent jobs.
Okay. Yeah. Let's take a break. You know this tag, Thinking Policy Together. Does that remind you of something?
Yes, it's our motto.
Good.
For Kipra.
Yes, thinking policy together. I like that. Let's take a break and we come back. I still want to talk about the issue of where the bakery is, the counties. How are the counties doing? We know that the financial year, because of the Finance Act, some of the counties have not received their revenue share, and now which means the baking is not taking place fully. Either we are going to have half-baked cake or the bakery is going to take a break for us to have that fully baked cake. Let's take a break and we have Daktari right back with us. Let's talk about economy when it With me is Dr. Rose Ngugi, who is the Executive Director of KIPRA. Today we are talking about matters economy, and we talk about economy, it touches everyone. Okay, so Dr. Let's come back. You talked about the issue of baking of the cake, and the key driver here are the counties. The counties have not received their revenue share to this far, 3 months now, this financial year. How is that affecting economic growth, and how important is this?
Yeah, county government, just like national government, they have their role to play in a county. Every government is very critical in providing, for example, infrastructural services. Yeah. Every government is there to also ensure that they facilitate with the administrative aspects. When I'm going to get my license, when I'm going to get whatever, that I can get the service, the public service delivery. That is what the counties do. If the counties are not providing the public service, then that would affect the private sector. Remember, growth actually comes from private sector. Government is there to facilitate growth. And in many cases, if you find that your growth is seemingly having a significant amount that is government-oriented, then it means that you may have very small basket actually to do your taxation. So the good thing that we need to do is actually to ensure that we are creating an enabling environment for private sector, right? Like, for example, I know there is an effort to support micro and small enterprises at county level through what we call the county aggregation industrial parks. They are just at the very beginning. And why I'm bringing it up is because in one of our studies, we call it the county business environment for micro and small enterprises. We realized that the working environment for micro and small enterprises at the county level, if it's not supported, it will not facilitate the micro and small enterprises to grow. What do I mean to grow? The survival rate for MSCs is very small. If you don't have a good environment, then micro and small enterprises tend to die within the first 3 years. So when that happens, then it means that you are not having a very strong bedrock for you to grow. So the counties have a role to play, but the private sector also has a role to play. So when you don't have maybe adequate funding, then there may be some activities, but in most cases it's the development budget that doesn't that has been cut with the austerity measures, and it's not just the counties, even at that national government level, the austerity measures touched on everybody. So, but does that mean that government has closed shop? No. There are still activities that are going on. I'm very sure that if those businesses went to look for licenses, they will still get it. So the key question would be to ask, are there activities that are not going on? Did you find out any? Some of the stored activities? Of course, there will be the stored activities are only in development projects. Like I've just said, the KIPs, they have started. The counties have started, but they can then move with the same speed. Not necessarily, because it requires capital spending. It's a development project. But there are other options that maybe one can look at. If the public-private partnerships can come in to support in this agenda, then we would see that the infrastructure services are provided. And that is why we have options of public-private partnerships.
I see. Yeah. The report actually also gives general assessment on how the economic situation in the country is. How would you describe it generally? How we are doing?
I would, first of all, I would say that we can see diversification in terms of activities. And what do I mean by that? If you think about the world moving, say, to the fourth industrial revolution, are we moving towards it? Yes, we have. Why is everybody talking about the AI technology? Why is everybody talking about the Internet of Things? It means that we are actually getting into that. Yeah? When we are talking about matters to do with greening, yeah? You've heard about greening everything, greening manufacturing, greening energy, greening jobs, greening everything. Are we in that space?
Yeah.
We are also in that space. And have we seen even our president supporting it? Yes. Remember in COP28, he was at the forefront of launching the green manufacturing activities. Yeah. So to that level, I would say that yes, the diversification has happened, but we are yet to get out of where we were left by the COVID-19. Yeah. COVID-19 actually had a significant impact, and it's not just in Kenya.
Yeah.
Even at the international level, you'll still find that there is a slowness in terms of how the global economy is actually picking up. And you've also seen that we have geopolitical tensions, yeah? Not in Kenya, but also at the international level, yeah? Which also affect us, because we are part of that value chain, yeah? That part of the supply chain, yeah? But of course, you remember when the Ukraine-Russian war came in, yeah? And we found ourselves in a situation where fertilizer, wheat is an issue, yeah? Yeah. And the country had to rethink of how to actually deal with these matters. So I would say that we are moving together as the way the world is also moving, getting to be hit by the global risks in the same way. But at the country level, we are trying to see implementation of the government agenda, bottom-up economic transformation agenda. But of course, with the private sector not doing very well, and without a lot of revenues, then we can say that we are not pushing the way we would want to see it
I'm so
done.
sure you came up with suggestions on how the economic, improvement can be achieved in the country in that report. Would you mind sharing with us some?
In terms of one of the things that is very clear is that we need to support transformation. Transformation means that yes, agriculture is good, and it's good. We should support it. Yeah. But we need to focus our attention on, for example, manufacturing. Manufacturing has been going down, yeah, even as a ratio to GDP. We are yet to get to the 15% that we want to be, yeah. And our manufacturing is also so much on agri-business, yeah. It's so much on agro-processing.
And that is also dependent on the availability of the raw materials.
No, it also depends on technology, because that is at what we call the low technology manufacturing. But we need to move from the low technology manufacturing to high technology manufacturing. And one way that you can see the country is trying to move into is, for example, in pharmaceuticals. Yeah? You heard of the vaccine, yeah? Efforts to actually pump in to grow the vaccination industry. Yeah? That's a part of pharmaceutical, and that is a high technology manufacturing. Also going to very what you'd call the advanced technology. Yeah? Yes. And if you look at the Kenya industrialization policy, it actually talks about those things. Yeah? Yeah. So what we are seeing is that path that we need to walk.
I see.
And that path is going to bring us the transformation, and it's going to make us move away from the low technology, which we are now competing with our neighboring countries, yeah? Because those are during some days, yeah, Omo, Colgate, we would actually export, yeah?
Yeah.
But now Uganda, Rwanda, and the like, they are manufacturing for themselves. And the question is, where then do we move? The only place we can move is to advance the technology in the manufacturing.
I see.
Yeah.
Do we have a chance where public service can also enhance productivity and leverage it with now the overall economic stability?
Yes, and it was one of the areas that we looked at.
Yes.
Productivity being driven from the public sector. You know, we have had a lot of public sector reforms.
Yes.
We came up with performance management agenda in 2004. But recently, when you look at the Boston Economic Transformation Agenda, what is the core focus? The core focus is on digitization.
Exactly.
And what is this aspect of digitization of services, is to say, I don't want you to spend 3 days. Please apply, and you can get whatever you're looking for. Maybe is it in 1 day or is it in 2 days, but it doesn't have to take very long. Because the minute you don't get the service you're looking for on timely basis, then it affects your productivity. So you can enhance the productivity in public service delivery by also injecting the technology that is actually the focus.
Is it working? Some positive results picked?
I think, where do you go to apply for your driving license now? Where do you do it?
Online.
Online.
Yeah.
Right.
I love
it's
that
working.
I love that question.
Yes.
It's online. So public service plays a key role.
Very much.
I ask a question about the Gen Z. Have we tapped into this youthful group? It's quite productive. And how do we tap them, or the economy, or the country can tap them into that productive age gap that can spur economic growth in the country?
Yeah, it's very true that a significant proportion of our population is in the youthful stage. Yeah, and a lot of them are actually, they are very well educated. They are getting opportunities, and of course, given also that they are a huge proportion. Yeah. Also, the level of unemployment also tends to be higher than the older generation. Yeah. If you look at the pathway for employment, unemployment level, it always comes like at the early age, yeah, the unemployment is higher, yeah. But as you get older, you get now to the opportunities.
Yes.
Yeah? So what we are trying to say is that we can tap into them now, yeah. But how do we give them those opportunities? And you can see like the ICT, the technology, the digital economy is a major focus. Yeah?
Yes.
Because we are saying that if you don't need to rely on being employed, you can also get opportunities to employ yourself. Yeah. You may not need actually to get maybe internally. You can also get externally. Yeah. But you need also to be prepared in terms of skills. And you can see there is quite a lot of efforts to do the TVETs. Yeah?
Yeah.
What do the TVETs do to you? The TVETs, what they do to you is to give you the skill.
I see.
And with that skill, you can get a job. If I have just finished school, yeah, say primary or secondary, and I go to a vocational training, and I get to be trained as a painter, I get to be trained as a plumber, are there opportunities for me? There are very many.
Yeah.
With the housing project, affordable housing project, yeah, plumbers are actually a core element, yeah, in that process, yeah. And what we are lacking is well-trained plumbers, yeah, right?
Yeah.
It's not the one that you kind of train yourself and they say, I can actually do this.
Well-trained, certified.
You need certified.
Yes.
And you can see also there is also that prior learning certification that is coming in. So what are we trying to identify? You're trying to identify the skills, because the minute you identify them, you are able also to say that when you have such projects like the housing, affordable housing project, then you can say that you have this base actually to tap into, and that is what these infrastructure projects try to do, to provide opportunities. But you cannot provide opportunities if you don't have the skill.
I see.
So to provide the skills, then there is that TVET element. There is the Ajira project, and there are also other government initiatives like the Youth Enterprise Development Fund. I think there is also the Nyota project. Yeah. All these things, they are meant actually to prepare you to the skills of the labor market.
Dr. We cannot continue this discussion without asking the public debt levels. There's that discussion around it for quite some time. I don't know how the survey or the report is trying to bring sustainability or even stability of the economic debt levels, the public debt levels that we have. What are the indicators? Yeah,
I would say that you know, with the new government, we changed the way we do the analysis for the debt level, the debt ceiling, yeah, which used to give us a very good path to say, have we reached 10 million, 10 trillion? Then are we going to look for addition of the ceiling or not?
Yes.
It was a ceiling of about, is it 10 trillion? Yeah. Now it is a ratio, yeah, which is calculated as a present value, yeah, to GDP. I don't have the figures right now, but I know that where we are with the debt at the moment, there are various salient benchmarks that we need to tick, yeah, for you to say whether a debt is sustainable or not sustainable. You can look at debt as a ratio to GDP, debt as a ratio to total revenue.
And what does the report say about it, the sustainability?
It says that at that point when we were doing the report,
yes,
we were at sustainable level. High risk, but sustainable, because we had not closed for 2 indicators. Yeah, we were still below the benchmark. Yeah, which means that we were still doing very well. Yeah. And so what were we saying we need to watch? We needed to watch on those 2 indicators to ensure that we don't close, because when we close, that's then when you can say that sustainability is actually.
If you do our regional, comparison with our, our neighboring jurisdictions and what have you, how are we faring?
Our debt, yes, it's high.
Yeah,
yeah, it's high. I think if you go to the East African region, majority of them are at moderate level, but they are also creeping to high debt levels. Yes.
Okay, and that I believe will have to call about some physical strategies to manage it moving forward. What are some of the strategies?
The strategies are not just for Kenya; they are also at international level. We remember when we had the COVID, yeah? And the G20 actually came up with a strategy. And what was it saying? We are going to relieve you from paying the interest rate, yeah? on your debt. What does that mean? It gives you some money back. Yeah. You remember in early 90s, we had what we called HIPIC. Through that, many countries actually benefited, yeah, because it was not just a one country which was suffering, yeah. It's many countries, and they benefited. Right now, if you go to the report from the World Bank from the IMF, a significant proportion of African countries are actually in either debt distress or high debt distress levels, yeah. Which means that it's no longer just a one country issue. It is the reason why everybody is talking about the international financial architecture changing the international financial architecture, so that we can ask ourselves, even the retro that we get for debt, yeah, loans that we get, yeah, are they adequate to actually bring you out of there, to bring you up somewhere?
Yes.
If I gave you 2 million today, can you actually solve your problem? If I gave you 10 million, can you solve your problem? Yeah. And the debt sustainability, it looked at from the you have to grow somewhere when you have received that money. So at the continent level, there are many things that are happening. For example, there is a call to have our own credit rating agency at the African region, because the argument is that in as much as we have the three major ones, the Moody's, the Fitches, and the like, sometimes they don't understand the intricacies for each country. So any small thing and they blow up, and the next thing your rating comes down. And when your rating comes down, it means that when you go to the market, then the interest that you get is very high, just because of a small risk that was captured in the Fitch. And so AU is trying to say, can we actually deal with that? There's also an attempt to kind of come up with a stabilization program. AU and African Development Bank are trying to say, why should we wait until our countries get into the level that they are getting? Can't we have a financial sustainability program so that all of us are benefit? But at country level, we are saying, let's get back to the fiscal consolidation plan. Right? But you can just do as much also.
I like the fact that, we talked about agriculture, and we cannot run away from that. But one big problem to the small or large-scale farmers is access to the market. Is the government trying to do something so that we have somewhere an equilibrium point where the supply and demand chain will be somewhere balanced, that the farmer will have easy access to the market, and there is that continuous flow of the cycle or of the wheel? You remember let's talk about, for example, from tea and coffee. Yes. Remember
those days when the cooperatives, they were very strong. And they were working well.
But what has happened all of a sudden?
And, coffee farmers, tea farmers were doing very well.
Yes.
Of course, mismanagement of those cooperatives and the like came in, and, the reform agenda is already on place. But cooperatives is one way of trying to kind of aggregate, bring people together to deliver on a service, bring people together also to say, can we even encourage you and the other one also to save a little bit as we look at tomorrow, So the architecture of the marketing, what the government is trying to do is to try and see how we can bring in that aggregation, because all of us are doing our own small things. And that is why the CAIPs, the County Aggregation Industrial Parks, there's that element called aggregation. Aggregation to mean that you bring your 50 kgs of milk, you bring your 30 kgs of milk, and what did the buyer, what was the buyer looking for? The buyer was looking for 1,000, and you cannot make it, So instead of going to the middleman, you can have the aggregation, and then you are able to meet the market. So there are efforts, but yes, we're not there.
You're not there. Let's talk about the annual average annual growth rate in the country. What are some of the indicators? Are we hitting the pointers slowly?
As I indicated, the latest figures are from April to June, and from April to June, we are growing at 4.6%.
Yes,
it's still a strong growth if you compare to the average for the Sub-Saharan Africa region, which is just below.
And what is the projection?
Our projection is that from that report, our projection was to grow. I think it was either to just slightly about 6%, which is a good growth. Yeah. And it's possible to get there.
Okay. And I believe between the national government and the county government, there must be some sense of connectivity to bridge that gap.
That's why I was telling you that even when you talk about agriculture, which is a devolved function, if we are not doing very, very well at the county level, and that is what we aggregate together to talk about our national growth, then it means that we may not go very far. So we still need to see counties, supporting to grow the economic activity wherever they are, so that we can actually sustain a strong growth.
Yes. Actually, we are closing, but then what would be a parting shot? Because somebody's out there watching, but the problem is access to the financial capital. Yes, we have AI here, we have go to agricultural, but then now access to financial capital. It's a big hindrance.
Yeah, it's very true. We say that finance is like it oils the engine. Yeah, without it, there's no much you can do. But have we had efforts to do that? If you look at the government side, yeah, I can say they are all.
Yeah.
The Youth Enterprise Development Fund. Youth have a window that they can actually get funding. Yeah, the Uwezo Fund. Again, we can get funding. Yeah, the Hustler Fund has also come in. Yeah, so there are those and guarantee scheme. Yeah, the guarantee scheme that also came in. Yeah, so from the government side, there are quite a number of initiatives. Yeah, but you know, when you get to the financial sector itself. This is not government. This is you know, this is a private sector that is trying also to make profit. But if you look at how the financial sector operates, it also under the central bank. Yeah? And what you can see now is even the central bank rate is starting to come down. Yeah? Right? When it comes down, it signals to also the banks that hang on, this is where we are looking at risks in the market, and therefore you need also to fall to bring them down. Yeah? But of course, the private sector have their own way of looking at things. Yeah. But I would say that yes, there are efforts. And of course, we don't want the youth, and you saw also with the CRBs, yeah? Yes. When the government came in and it said, we are supporting you youth, please don't be blacklisted, yeah? So that you can have. But when you get money also, can you pay? So that you're not blacklisted.
That's a good question.
Yes.
If you get money, can you pay?
Yeah.
Allow me to ask you this question. What is the level or state of productivity in terms of gender? Because gender also plays a major key role, even in terms of employment, in terms of productivity. What are the indicators as we speak?
Yes, we did, even at the level of gender. Of course, when we looked at the farms that are led by women and those that are led by men, of course you can see some disparities in terms of productivity, but in most cases this is also caused by the disparities also in terms of adoption of technology.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
So there are those gender issues that need to be addressed. And of course, for women also, they have other roles that they have to play. They have to man the families, yeah? And I think that is why the government is also saying, or putting it that even for private sector, yeah, that you need actually to provide that facility. Is it called the mother's room, yeah?
Yeah.
Where actually, as a woman, yeah, I can actually come to the office. I'm able to play my double roles. I can take care of the child, but I can also take care of the of his work. Yeah? In the markets, you find that some of the markets have also started having those baby care centers. Yeah, what are they coming to do? They are coming to say, even as you are selling your mangoes, you're selling your bananas. Yeah, somebody is taking care of the baby, which means that your productivity can be improved. Because you don't have to keep on, doing the two roles at the same time. Yeah.
All right. Thank you so much. Thinking policy together? Thinking policy together.
We think policy together because the public policy space is not just for the government.
I love that. I love that motto.
Yes.
Whoever came with this idea was a very brilliant person. Thinking policy together. Thank you so much for coming on the show.
Yeah.
Asante sana. That is Dr. Rose Ngugi, who is the Executive Director of the Kenya Institute for Public Policy Research and Analysis, otherwise known as KIPRA. Today we talked about matters economy and how the economy is doing, and she said that there is hope for the country in as far as economy is concerned. All right, so let's take a break. Good Morning Kenya continues after this. Stay with us.